I am Negan, a TWD Universe podcast. I am a senior editor over at the Koalition, Adam Vale, and I'm joined by editor-in-chief, Richard Bailey Jr. What's up, Rich?
What's up, Adam? What's up, listeners and viewers?
And Throwdown's Carlos Romero.
Yo.
This is it, man. This is it. This was episode 6, season 1 for Dead City, Doma Smo, which is Croatian for home, right? I think that's what they said. This was interesting. This is interesting, and we're definitely going to get into it. Wait, I'm going to give a quick disclaimer, everybody. If you haven't watched it already, please know we are going to discuss this episode in full. There will be spoilers, so either go on AMC Plus and watch it, or just go on and wait till the show airs. But by the time this is out, it should have already aired, and you should have already watched it, and then see if your views match with ours. Sounds like Carlos, was that your concern? That I was just gonna.
No, I was gonna mention this is season 1, episode 6. We were wondering, I guess. Before today, we were wondering, is this the series finale, the season finale, or what's going on with this Dead City? And apparently, we got news that this is going to be one of multiple seasons, at least 2.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of news during today.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I was thinking about it if we should add some of that news at the beginning or the end. But you know what? You already started off. So yeah, we'll just clear up some of the news. It's been confirmed over at Comic-Con. There will be a season 2 for Dead City. And not too surprising because it has been doing pretty well with the ratings across all platforms, because they were advertising like over 1 million views here and there and all different regions, which is good numbers for something that's new. And that's great. That's great news, because this is interesting. It does have a compelling story, or at least one that pulls you in to make you want to see the next episode. And that's what you want with something like this, right? You want to that something to tie you back, to be like, hey, yeah, you know what? I'm looking forward to next week, as opposed to like, I don't care. You know, the story's dragging, sort of like a Fear the Walking Dead situation where it's like, yeah, just phase this out already. But yeah, that was a piece of news. What was the other big piece of news? The Rick Michonne got a new title, right, Rich?
Yeah, that show will be titled The Ones Who Live. And it's still coming sometime in 2024, but no definitive date yet.
There we go. The One Who Lives. And then we all got that new trailer for The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. I brought this up off camera when I was. It brought back this feeling of Gulliver's Travels, if you remember that one. It was an old one, but then there was another one with I think it was Jack Black, if I remember right, where he washes up ashore and there's all these little people, and like, this whole big thing happens. But the whole point is that he's a big man there, and here it is. It's a similar situation. He washes up in France. They're calling him the messenger, right? Like, oh, we've been waiting for you. You're going to be the one to do what? We don't know, but clearly he has been picked as a chosen one, similar to how Negan has in this series. And he's got his trusty crossbow, and he's putting down walkers. We still have not seen any running walkers. I didn't see any running walkers in that trailer. Did you guys? No, right? Exactly.
No.
Yeah. No, we didn't see any. And this is concerning, because now I'm trying to figure this out. Did they remove that idea of having running walkers? Well, I can't call them walkers anymore, but running zombies 28 days later style? I guess they did, because they're not advertising it. That's when they first pitched it. That sounded like a no-brainer, right? It's like, yeah, definitely show that off. That's going to be amazing. That's new. But I'm starting to think maybe they walked back on that and decided, nah.
I'm starting to think that maybe they saved that idea for the Rick and Michonne show, since they know that that's the show that everybody is going to want to watch. But we'll see.
Yeah, that or the ratings were so low for World Beyond that they were like, does anybody even know that? Because that was something that happened at the final episode of season 2. Did anybody even watch it? According to the ratings, they did not. So should we really do a callback to an episode of a series that nobody watched? You know, that's my guess right there. Because think about it, that's a big part. And if they get to that point where Daryl finds the scientists or that facility or whatever is going on, they're going to have to show some scenes from World Beyond and how that tied in. But then that brings up a lot of questions, because for those who did not watch World Beyond, they're going to be like, who are these characters? What I mean with these kids, and what does this have to do with France and this doctor and the Civic Republic? What's going? It's a lot. It's a lot, and I don't think they want to open that door yet, because it sounds like that is the door that Rick and Michonne opened, like you mentioned, especially with Rick being captured, and looks like that's where he is right now with one of those Civic Republic locations. So yeah, maybe they don't bring it up, but that's a shame, because I was really looking forward to it, and it's just sad, whatever. Let me see what other news. I think that was it. That was the key stuff. We didn't hear anything about Carol. That was going to be my guess when we found out they were going to be, oh, big news. We're going to see a new trailer for the Daryl Dixon. I was like, oh, no brainer. She's going to be in it. That's going to be the big reveal. Surprise. Yeah, since Jeffrey D. Morgan already had spilled the beans during the red carpet event for Dead City, telling everybody, oh, no, Carol's definitely part of that project. It's like, well, Melissa, the actress, we haven't really, that hasn't been confirmed by the showrunners or the studio. So I guess they're still trying to keep that under wraps, and they're hoping that didn't make the rounds. But it did. But we'll see. Unless I missed something. Did you guys catch anything? Did I miss anything?
No, they haven't announced it, but it was just that there were photos taken that showed that she was on set. So yeah, that's all. That's all it is.
That's all it is. All right, and that is all that we have for the Walking Dead report. Right, that was it. All right, so let's get into this. All right, let's get into this. This was it. This was the final episode for this first season, and a lot happened in this episode. Again, people, full disclosure, I don't want to hear, oh, I just jumped in. We're going to spoil this. We already. For those who already been following us, thanks for the support over on iTunes, Spotify, of course, YouTube, and the Koalition site. It's a lot of interest for this show, and we're seeing it with the numbers. So that's great. That's great. And now we know it's coming back for a second season. So at least one of these spinoffs appears to have some longevity, because World Beyond gone. Tales of the Walking Dead, I think that's a tale in itself. I don't think we're going to get another season. I don't think any of those stories are going to get picked up into their own show, because that was one of the ideas that they were passing around. That's why they put these pairings. We had the one that everybody really hoped for, at least from what I was hearing with the studios, was the Terry Crews one. And what's her name? From Attack of the Show, that was with him,
Olivia
Munn, and they were really hoping that would pick up some steam, but I don't think it did. Right? Not a lot of buzz, not big demand for that spinoff or any kind of connection of bringing them into the Walking Dead universe. But hey, who knows? Anything's possible. But as of right now, that's it. It's done. So this is it. So let's get into it now. How do you guys want to do this? Because there's 3 parts. There's 3 big parts. We could just bang out the smaller part, which is the Marshall and Jenny, and go through that whole part. We can do the main plot, which was the situation going on with Negan and Maggie, and then there is the Maggie and her son. And which path do you want to take? Which one do you think would be the best?
I don't know, Rich. The main one sounds like the one that has all the meat and bones of the story. We can talk about the Marshall and Jenny and stuff afterwards. I feel like it would be pretty good.
You want to do that, Rich?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So we start off where we're back with Maggie and Negan, and we see that Negan bumps into Jenny in the street, perfect timing. I was like, oh, what's going on here? And Maggie's
From the
I was like,
block.
oh, yeah, Jenny from the block. And then Maggie's like, oh, yeah, she just popped up. She's like, how long? I don't know, just recently. She was just there. Not a big deal. And this was upsetting because I knew instantly that this was a tease. I was like, there's no way they're going to have Jenny all of a sudden, just like in the movie Scrooge when the little boy pulls on Bill Murray. And it's like, you missed, it's like, God bless every single one of us. That heartstring moment. Like, we're all waiting for Jenny to just open up. Like, she's lying to you. It's a trap. But no, it doesn't happen. We don't get that. And I wasn't expecting it. And it was even worse when she actually did open up her mouth to talk and she said a few words and he was like, now you choose to talk? No, I don't want to hear it. That come on now. That doesn't even make any damn sense. Clearly, if she wants to talk now, it's something important. She has something to say. Because what happens? Right after that, we'll just, before we go any further, but in that scene, he's like, he shoos her off, says, go with the marshal. I guess him and the marshal now are buddy, right? We got a little bit of that on the bus, but this really confirmed it because he just now pretty much told the marshal, you're going to do an escort now. You're just going to take her to New Babylon or Brick City, whatever the hell they want to call it now. Get her out of here. And he's like, yes, sir. I'm like, what? Wait, what? You just, what happened to like working together and making a difference? A crow ad, do that? No. Now the marshal's job is just to bring Jenny back to across the river, and he does it. He leaves. So before we go any further, because there was a lot there that didn't really add up, what did you think of that? Just said this is how they meet up. The Jenny situation. It's supposed to produce this tension of like, oh, here it is. She's gonna tell him. It doesn't happen, and the way the marshal's new role of just. Yeah, I'll listen to you, Negan. Does that make sense to you? Rich?
I wasn't surprised because I had said before that the focus of the show is on Negan and Maggie. So I guess they really wanted, we saw what happened after that. It's clearly that they wanted us to focus on that. They didn't care about any of the stuff having to do with Ginny, at least not in this regard. I did know that Ginny was going to try to talk and say something. I mean, because that was going to happen. Because we're at the very end. This was the end of the season. She had to say something, right? So, it didn't feel. It wasn't anything special about that moment. Is very much like, okay, yeah, that's the direction they took. Well, I really don't care, but that's what they decided to do, I guess.
Yeah. What was upsetting is the tease because we know that she was going to say something, but it wasn't. At least I was hoping she would blur it out. It's like, it's a lie. And maybe just can't complete a full sentence and just said that, liar or something. And it's like, wait, what are you trying to say? What's going on? And then have Maggie just like, shoot, oh, she's talking about the Crow Act. Yeah, he said a bunch of crazy things. You know what I mean? Like, no, we gotta go. And they think, no, because who knows how long it's been since she said a word, do something like that. And then he says, don't worry, Jenny, I'm gonna take care of you. Don't worry, the marshal, he's got a good place. Take her. But no, the fact that he stops her from talking is what upset me because that makes no sense. She clearly traveled over here by herself on a rowboat, which is not easy through the Hudson. I mean, there's a lot of waves, undercurrents. It's not easy to get to him. She's hugging him during the whole thing. And then he goes and he tells the story, which we were questioning. I wasn't sure if it was true, but the whole thing of like, I killed your dad. That was one of the ideas that we thought of earlier. But then when he told the story to Maggie about killing the guys that had beat or raped his wife, and they were people of power, and that's why the marshal's after him. But it turns out that the father was part of that group, and I guess it's confirmed because he didn't deny that part later on. It's like, it wasn't like, oh, he could have told Maggie, yeah, I just said that just to shoot her because she wasn't going to go. No, it was legit. That the father was one of them, and he knew that he left a kid behind, and this was like a loose end that he had to deal with. That part, sort of makes sense, then it doesn't, because in the first episode, he had mentioned that she saw some horrible things, and she saw that her dad was killed, not by a walker, but by a man, I guess, because he was hung up or whatever. And then that's when she went mute. But he also said they were part of the same community. So I didn't get that, because then she would have known other things. She would have known him, and I don't know. I just felt like they were just tying this in at some point. They were like, don't look too far into it. Just understand this is what happened. And so she hears it, and she takes a step back. She's like, oh, man. And he was like, yeah, I'm not the man you think I am. And just with that line, that's why I figured he was just saying this just to shoo her. But as we get a little further after that, beautiful shot. There was some amazing set designs in this episode. I love these frames and these shots that they had. This massive window, from whether it's a warehouse or it looked like it was from one of those old fishing warehouses that they used to have down by the river. But it was beautiful, beautiful shot. Maggie and Negan both on each side looking out the window. And this is where I thought he was going to come clean, that it was BS, but it wasn't. And then she goes and decides to divulge some information. You have something to say?
I feel like it's like it was just a whole bunch of New York head nods, knowing it's like, yeah, I know you're lying. I know you made, like, Maggie, like, looking at Negan's like, I know you made that up for so Ginny can leave. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if for the rest of the people watching this this episode felt like he was telling the truth, but as far as I'm concerned, he just made the whole thing up just to get her to leave with a marshal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I picked up from it, and I thought he was going to bring that up during that heart-to-heart moment, looking out the window, but he doesn't. And
well, I feel like she Maggie knew as well.
she
It's
knew,
like,
probably,
yeah,
yeah, she just took it, and maybe you're right, because then she decided to open up, and she was like, my connection is for New York was Macy's. My mom, when she got sick, she was talking about Macy's and all the stuff in Santa. And then she starts talking about, I wanted to talk to Santa and see if he could fix my broken toys. I'm like, you know what? I don't even care what you have to say. I don't want you on this show anymore. This is what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of this. And then quickly they see something out the window and they go running to the roof, which I found kind of funny, because I'm like, well, you're kind of high up anyway, but whatever. They run to the roof and they see the Croat's car going up the street there. Now, I was baffled by this, but you said it's so they could see where he's going, right? But
yeah, they saw him go through the street, and they went up on the roof to see where eventually they were heading to. I mean, you can't. I mean, if you're looking off a window and they go past the block, you can't really see like where they're going. So they had to go up on the roof.
No, I get that, but the whole thing is like, if that's what you were going for, then why weren't you already on the roof? Then what's the point of making a pit stop? And
they don't have sunscreen. The rays.
Yeah, I guess
sunburned.
For me, I think it was just that beautiful shot. They're like, we have to have this shot. The lighting, the window frame. They wanted to use that shot because besides that conversation could have happened on the roof. And whatever, it happened. It's done. It's there. But this is the part that got me upset. This is it. And some people are like, oh, well, this is the fun part. Yeah, it's the big action scene. But it's when they are now in the building. They're, I guess, en route to remember where he said where the whole thing where there's smoke. And this is the first location that Maggie was scouting out before she wanted to go. And so when they're going up the stairs, and then Negan says, hey, so what do you think Jenny was trying to say to me? Come on. Well, maybe if you didn't shoot her, you could have heard what she was trying to say. And then Maggie all of a sudden says, I don't know, and just stares at him, takes out a blade and just lunges at him. And here's the whole fight. Like, at this moment, I know this is wishful thinking, and I know it wasn't going to happen. This is when she dies.
All we needed was the Mortal Kombat music.
Right, Mortal Kombat. They were doing all the running, right? There's walkers. There's all this fight. He's running from her because she's got this knife, and he's throwing.
She's got two knives.
Yeah, she's got two knives. Right, she's coming out for that liver. But then the funny part with this is he climbs over. I'm sorry if I'm getting chased. I'm looking for doorways and other things. I don't know. I don't think walking across a beam is on the top of a warehouse is something that I want to do. But this is what he's doing with a balancing act, with the hands on both sides type of thing. And he ends up in the middle, and she follows him. And yes, again, a beautiful shot where they're above on this big beam, and there's all these walkers below them just waiting to chomp on one of them. And then they start fighting it out. She stabs him in the arm. He's punching her, doing the whole thing. I'm like, just throw her over. Because from one angle, the beam doesn't look that wide. And then from other angles, it looks like it's a platform. So whatever. But regardless, there's a fight. He kicks her off, or she falls back. What was that? A bunch of boxes with some sheet on it. I don't know, but whatever. For the effect, they never bring it up, which is funny because I mean, really
Negan jumped like he's
like he jumped
80 years old jumping on that stuff. I was like,
he jumped like he was gonna lunge on her. Yeah, like he was gonna just smash her. But that's what I'm saying. It's like this is something you bring up afterwards. There was no mention of the drop. About him when he jumped down, what was his intent? It looked like if she didn't move out the way, he was just going to just stab her or break her neck or whatever, right? It was to kill her. I mean, did you guys pick up anything before I go any further? Just from that fight, just from that, did you think his intent was to kill her when he jumped down the way he did?
No, I mean, he just didn't have anywhere else to go. Like it was that platform. It's like they just had to go down. And yeah, I mean, she stabbed him. She stabbed the boy.
She stabbed him.
I think the fight was very comical and didn't make any kind of sense. And as you both had already mentioned, Negan got stabbed, but for the rest of the episode, it's like nothing happened. He wasn't wounded, nothing whatsoever. So
never mentioned the stabbing, never mentioned that big drop. She banged her back on something clearly because it wasn't like she fell in water.
Yeah, they didn't put any rubbing alcohol on that thing for
put some tussin on it. Nothing. They just like brushed it off. It was like, oh, whatever. It was the spot that they did.
Well, it's I see where Rich is coming from. The fight scene. No, it doesn't matter how well that fight scene is choreographed. We knew that wasn't going to be the end. Like there was hardly any stakes in that whole thing.
The only thing I was hoping for is that this is where they separate. That this fight was going to lead to a separation where they're just from that kick and she fell, and then maybe he stayed up top or something, some separation, and then it just they're on two different paths now. It's like that's it. You're out on your own. Good luck trying to find your kid, type of deal. And then he goes on his own adventure to go after the Croat. Because as we go full circle later, I don't want to jump the gun, but it's what we know what happened at the end. There was no need for any of this. That was going to happen regardless.
When we get to the end of that part of this discussion, I do have something I do want to say, but no, continue. I agree with what you said. Yeah.
So then now he jumps down there, and of course she rolled off. They have a little more of a tussle, but he gets the upper hand, and he can kill her. He's choking her. He's like, "This is it. Drop it. It's done." But then he picks up, and then he just like chucks it back. He's like, "What's the point? Why are we doing this? What are you doing?" It's like I get it. You're never gonna let this go. You're never gonna let this go. And this is where I was hoping he would do the Spartan kick and just like kick her off, because it sort of looked like they were near the edge of a pier. It's like just send her into the water. Like we're done. But no, he doesn't, and he doesn't understand the whole thing, what's going on here. And then he starts putting two and two together, and then realizes, oh, it was never about your grains and all that stuff, your resources. It was me. He wanted me. He puts it all together. And just at that right moment, that's when the crew of the Croats crew walk in, and that's it, right? They're both captured. They take a nice little ride in an ambulance, through town. We get another little short story from the Croat talking about now his backstory when it comes to why he wanted Negan and how he thought he can get Negan. He knew he wanted Negan, but the fact that he heard the story from another member that he came across that was part of the original crew of the widow. And that Negan killed the husband, and the woman was pregnant with the child, the whole big thing. He tells the whole story. I don't want to repeat it because we've gone through this a million times, but you know the story. And he tells it. And it's like, okay, that's great. So what's the end goal here? Well, we know what's going to be the end goal, which sounds even crazier. But they head off into a precinct, a very famous precinct. They make the trade. Right, we finally get to see Herschel, who we haven't seen since episode 1. And I'm glad. Hopefully he filmed all his scenes and Ghostbusters Afterlife 2 before the strike, because I would like to see that movie get released, hopefully sometime this year. They do the exchange. Pay close attention to that exchange because I did not see any wobbling. I did not see any limping or moaning of discomfort, right? Did you hear that? No, I didn't see it, especially not from Herschel.
Well, to be fair, we don't know how long. That's one of the wonders of these types of shows. We don't know how much time has passed since he was kidnapped. The moment it could have been years, it could have been days, it could have been hours.
Imagine that if it was years. Imagine if they were in the car and he's like, "I missed you. How have you been all these years?" I'm like, "You're a horrible mom. This is how it's been." No, yeah, we don't know. We definitely know. I don't think it's been months. Maybe a few weeks, right? Maybe days. Maybe 2 weeks. Because it definitely seems like everything that took place in New York was within 2-3 days. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
Right. They do the exchange, and I was expecting a double cross of some sort. No double cross. Go on your happy way. That's it. Peace out. Now, like I said, we agree we're focusing on the main plot. So we'll get into the conversation and development with Herschel and all of them and after, but let's keep following Negan. So now we get another one-on-one situation and another car ride. And this is with Negan and the Croat. And the Croat's telling him the whole thing about, everything that you did and what you did. I realized it was for a purpose. And, I made the mistake. I should have never killed that girl. And then he tells a story, which is interesting. I don't know if this was ever mentioned on the show or even in the comics. It's been so long since I read it. But it was almost like an initiation to pass Lucille to someone else and have them do a bashing. Because he brought that up. He was like, "Oh, I saw you were doing it, and then you saw how nervous I was with all this, and you handed Lucille over me." He was like a Mike who's a rock star, and say you handed over, and how I missed.
No, he said that you were one person without Lucille, but once you had Lucille in your hands, you turned into a rock star, and you turned into the animal that we needed as a leader.
Yeah, but then he said he gave Lucille to him because remember he said then he took a swing and he missed the first time, but then he caught him and he made a big mess and it was a whole big thing. But I
don't remember that part.
Yeah, he said, do you remember that, Rich?
No, I wasn't paying attention to anything they were talking about.
Nice. Awesome. Well, yeah, he said that's why he was like that he really respected him as a leader, but that's why he took full blame. He said, I should have never killed that girl.
Yeah.
Then we wouldn't have had any problems.
I will mention this. Oh, go ahead, Rich.
No, I was just going to say that's the only takeaway I had from that conversation. I wasn't listening to any of the other story, just the fact that he said, "Oh yeah, I should have listened to you, and I shouldn't have killed that girl."
Yeah, that was pretty clear. There is one thing, and when I got to pick with both Rich and Adam,
Oh,
We
boy.
should have started with subtitles because whenever the Croat speaks and when he doesn't speak loudly, I can barely understand. He's like,
Gosh.
"We're gonna, I should have forgiven you, Negan."
Yeah, I feel like he's trying to do a Godfather and Bane impression, like mesh together. Again. You know,
Yeah, so some of it was lost, uh, but the important stuff about him being, regretting his decisions, the way that he acted back in the I was good.
well, from the
It was the sanctuary.
sanctuary. But here's the thing. That's the question I have for both of you. Did you think at this moment he was sincere? Like that was my whole thing. I was like, is he just trying to be sadistic?
Well,
Like he's saying, "Oh, I should have, but I didn't, and now you're gonna suffer." No.
Oh, hold on,
Go
go
for it.
ahead.
No. Go.
I was going to say, yeah, he is sincere because he's no longer the main person in charge on this show.
No. I get it. But
So,
at this moment, though, did you believe when he
oh
was
yeah,
saying this? You believed him? You felt he was being sincere with his his regret?
oh yeah, because my view of this character has changed completely with the last episode. They had you believe from the start of this show, this guy is the really big bad that you have to worry about. And then in that last episode, when they showed there's someone above him, that's why I like, oh, so this guy is just a henchman now. He has no power whatsoever. His only job was to get Negan, and that's it. So I feel like there was no reason, he didn't have a reason to lie to Negan at that moment.
yep. Rich is 100% correct. I mean, it was the Croat that suggested to bring Negan in the first place
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
the leader. So
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But one thing that this all puts in perspective is the Croat explained his role early on. I want to say probably episode 2, when he talked about how he was using, remember, humans are the resource and using them to create gas for vehicles and all this stuff. He was a scientist. Remember, that was his whole thing. His family died and he was lost, found Negan, but he was a scientist by trade. Never really a warlord. Yes, he did some horrible things, but he was just a scientist at heart. So I think that, and remember how we met him. What was he doing? He was doing science. He was creating this gas. This is what he was doing. And we put him in the role of leader because of that. But it makes sense that no, he's really just the scientist producing this for someone else. He is still following someone else. And then we got introduced to the main woman that's in charge last episode. So we saw that. But I kept trying to wrap my head around it. But the way they were presenting, like how we all saw the Crow, we thought he was the boss. No, it just so happens that he is just a scientist who is doing something, and she needed someone of power, someone to sort of like a general. She was looking for, and he only knew of one person because it's the person that he came across. And then after finding that guy Jacob and hearing that crazy story, was like, well, maybe I can use this woman to help me get him, to bring him here. It sounds very far-fetched. It doesn't really make much sense if you think of how many other people you probably put this role in. If it doesn't work out with them, then kill them and find somebody else. But whatever, for the story. I was like, okay. But yeah, this whole time we were thinking he was like the big boss. But when you look back after hearing all this, like, oh, well, was he? I guess no, I guess not. I guess he was just running the factory. So well, we get into that now. We get into that part now. So he takes her, it takes Negan to the theater to now meet Doma, right? That's her name. Was it Doma? I gotta bring it up. But
I don't remember, but yeah,
she's the boss. She's the boss lady.
Yeah, just call her the boss.
The big boss lady. Hey, boss lady. Right. So now, yeah, we didn't see the woman in the hallway say, "Whoa, bitch." I wish she was there because that would have been fun to see if she said the same thing to Negan. But she wasn't the bodyguard or anything. She was just another tribe, another leader. Because that's one of the things that Croat had mentioned. It's like, oh, now we're working with these people. So anyway, he knocks on the door and he says, "Oh, yeah, introducing," and he introduced Negan, and this is the big boss lady. And she was like, "All right, had enough. You can get out of here. We don't need you." And she's glad to see he's a real person and not a figment of this guy's imagination, because he spoke very highly of him, of all things he can do, controlling people and getting the job done and building an empire, blah, blah, blah. Offers him a drink. Right? He says, I'm a gin man. She still doesn't have gin, but she still starts to offer him. No, doesn't care. And then she says, I need somebody to help run this city. And that's what you're here for. And she offers him a bunch of keys, but she says, I don't know if you're the right person. So she gives him one key, right? And that's the key to remove the shackles that he's currently in. And this is where I was like, oh, wow, this sounds interesting. And this is what I had brought up before.
Wait, I got to interject. Rich, did you see the same thing?
No.
No, there was no shackles. He was always shackless.
Yeah.
I could have swore he was, because she gave him one key and he was.
It was the key. It was the key to the box. To what's in the box?
Oh, it really was. I could have swore there was something around. I heard chains.
Yeah, it was a keychain with a lot of keys. But ended up giving him just that one key, which was a little box that had the little prize.
Oh no, we'll get to that. We'll get to the prize. But this is something that we brought up, that if this show was to get picked up, there's plenty of things they can do, because they introduced the idea of tribes. Right? We saw one tribe fell apart. We saw last episode that woman step aside, bitch. That one, that's another tribe. And she said there's tribes uptown. They're in Harlem. There's a bunch. And she pulled almost like a Cyrus from the movie The Warriors. She was like, we could own this city. I was just waiting for like her. Just she didn't have to say, "Can you dig it?" the whole thing, but she could. Can you dig it? Yeah, if she could have said something like that, it would have been fun. Fun little nod back to, because that's pretty much what she was offering. She was like, "Hey, listen, we can run this area, the section by section, and take over the island." And the island Manhattan is very small. It's not even 3 miles wide. It's not a big island as much as people think. I mean, yeah, it's everyone crammed on it. So I guess it is possible, but she needs a leader. And clearly the Croat is not that guy. The Croat is just a scientist, the evil scientist who knows how to do stuff. He's a little vicious here and there, but he is not a warrior. He is not someone that everyone is going to follow. She believes that Negan is that person, which I find interesting, because you don't know him. You're hearing everything secondhand, but whatever. And he was like, well, why should I help you? Why should I even jump into this? And that's when he opens the box. I thought the box was, when she handed it to him, it was just like, go ahead, open the box. I didn't realize that one key was for that. I thought it was a sign of trust, because I saw the chains. I was just linking them together, I guess. But he opens up and there's a toe in there. And that's Herschel's toe. And she was
It was a little one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, if it's a big toe, he's going to wobble. He's going to have trouble walking.
So the little toe is probably the least used. It's the most useless of the toes, right?
Yeah, it is. But it's still painful. It's still a toe. And she said he was here for a while, and he eventually trusted me, and we talked and stuff. And I have access to him, and I could always take more pieces if I need them. That type of deal. So basically saying, if you don't help me with this, then I'll just go and kill Herschel. But at the same point, she said, I want to believe that you are that person that the Croat would said you were, that's vicious. If that's the case, then he wouldn't give a shit what you do to Herschel. It's like a double standard there. You're saying you want this person of old that the Croat had described, but then you're also trying to put this like pressure on him, this blackmail, like, if you don't do this, I'm gonna kill this kid. Well, who cares? Not my kid. The mom hates me anyway, so I do whatever. But if she makes that offer and we don't hear the answer, but we know there's a season 2, so we could assume the answer is yes. And I do want to see this, because this I feel opens up the door to all kinds of. I hope that no surprise. I mean, that there's tribes are going to have leaders, and those leaders are going to do battle with Negan, and this is what we want to see, right? We want to see Negan part of a group, the leader of a group, fighting other groups. Now, granted, we didn't want to see him fighting our favorite groups. We don't want to see the Daryl and doing all that again. So we're not. We're going to see him fight other groups. Now they have to make those other groups seem bad, right? Because Negan is the good guy for us. Do you think we see him in a bad light against these other tribes in season 2? Rich?
I think we are going to see parts of old Negan tearing across Harlem, the upper west side, the upper east side. He's going everywhere. Might go to Brooklyn. Never know.
Oh yeah, I want to see fun. I want to see gangs of New York style. That's what I want to see. I want to see big brawls.
There is one thing I want to see. But I'll mention this after the show. But there is something that I do want to see, but I can't say it in this.
Oh, you see, and you already planted the seeds. Now the listeners and viewers are like, "How dare you, Carlos?" They're gonna put bad comments.
If it happens next season, then I'll mention it. But I can't mention it now.
All right,
Rich. So let me just say this. I'm going to keep my expectations in check for this show. Right now, I'm not excited for season 2. If they go the route that you guys mentioned, and Negan's going against gangs, that could be interesting. But the reason why I'm not looking forward to season 2 is because it feels like this entire show and how everything played out, it was way too safe. You introduced this new person that is now to believe to be the big bad. In the episode before the final episode of the season, there's no character development, no backstory whatsoever for this character. So why should I care and think that this is somebody that's so dangerous that now this is somebody that Negan has to worry about? I don't buy that because, again, as you mentioned earlier, Adam, you said, yeah, they portray the Croat the entire season as a scientist, but multiple times throughout the season, clearly a lot of people was afraid of the Croat. Mm-hmm. The whole fact that he could go anywhere in New York City and he had set up this track to send everybody to the arena, but they made it seem as though he owned the city, that they had you believing for the entire season this guy is a villain. So when I say they play it too safe, I feel like something should have happened at the end of this episode. A character should have gotten killed. I'm not saying Maggie or Negan because obviously they're not going to kill off any of those characters, but it feels like something should have happened to somebody at the end of this show to raise the stakes. Like when the Croat decides to bring Negan to the office of the woman, she says, okay, thank you for your service. Then she pulls out a gun and shoots the Croat. I would have been fine with that because then you're just getting rid of that character. But again, it's too safe. And the last point that I will add on top of that is that it's still this whole storyline about Maggie and Negan. I don't care about Maggie all of a sudden having a conscience. Oh, now I got to go back and save Negan because I feel bad because what Herschel said was true. I don't care about these two still coexisting. After this, that should be it. But obviously, Maggie is still a part of the show, so they're going to continue to make her a part of the storyline. So I don't really like that aspect of it. But like you said, if they focus on the gangs next season, it could be interesting. But if it's the same storyline, once again, with Maggie and Negan having to work together and then Maggie still is iffy about working with Negan, I don't want to see that again for season 2. That's just my opinion.
Oh, it's definitely going to be there because we'll get into it when we get into what happened with Maggie, when we get into her part of the story. But yeah, it brings up a lot of questions with the boss lady. Why is she in power? It's got to be of means of some sort, right? She has to be some wealthy person that everyone just bows down. I mean, how does currency even matter at this point? But what else could it be? What else? Royalty, family, we haven't seen it. She's not rolling with a bunch of security guards in the room. You know what I mean? It was just the Croat, and it's like Negan. Where's the guards at the door? It's not a situation like the Commonwealth with the governor.
Oh no, yeah, exactly. And one last thing I do want to say real quick. and then we'll go back to you and Carlos. As far as the Croat is concerned, the whole conversation he had with Negan, the fact that he says, yes, Negan, you were right. I'm sorry that I disobeyed. Now, I personally think that conversation basically is going to play a role in the second season because Negan is going to eventually find a way to convince the Croat we need to take her out. So I see that coming from a mile away. Obviously, they can go in a different direction with it, but I kind of feel like that ultimately he's going to get his assistants to eventually take her out. I see that coming because it's way too obvious, I think, because you see how she treated him in that interaction. She doesn't really take him serious. He was only there to do his job, and then that's it. But yet this guy is close to Negan and wants to get into his good graces. So I could see him helping Negan out one way or another at some point in time.
So he's just going to be the henchman, like that. I mean, he definitely respects him. Meaning Croat with Negan. He wants to still be under his wing. He vouched for him. The whole reason why Negan is there is because of everything that he has said to the boss lady. It's like, oh, look, he's awesome. He's awesome. He's great. So yeah, it could be a part of it. But what's going to ruin everything for next season is Maggie. She is going to ruin it. And now that was it. We're done with the big part because that was the last scene for them. Now let's just go into the Mag. No, you know what? Let's just get the short part out. The short part away is the Marshall and Jenny, because there wasn't a lot there. Once Marshall leaves, takes Jenny, they go back to New Babylon. You see the bodies hanging, the whole thing. He gets her out of the car. She goes running. And who was that? Scoochie? Who that hugs her and kisses her and says, welcome back? She ran away. Where? What do you mean, welcome back? He didn't pick up a phone and say, guess who I found?
It wasn't New Babylon. It was a Hilltop.
No, it said New Babylon. Remember, he was at the door when you see the bodies hanging.
It was New Babylon when after he left her and went back.
Yeah, I'm blanking. So the bricks. The bricks.
It's the Hilltop because then how did Maggie give her the bunny at the end?
Exactly. Yeah, it's the same place. She went right back to the place that you.
So then that's the bricks, because remember they said she went to the bricks, and we were like, oh, that explains the short trip by motorbike to the city.
Yeah,
she didn't go to Hilltop. Hilltop, that's all the way up in Georgia.
Oh, they said they had relocated. I thought so. That's
I don't know that.
Yeah.
So if they relocated, then it is bricks, because remember the guy Tommaso had said he wanted to go to a place that had bricks. Remember that was, and she was like, that was her area. So bricks is her area, and that's where they brought her back. So I was like, yeah, welcome back. I guess she was only there one day, but everybody loved her, and she made a big impression. And now that she's back, they're super happy, and they're hugging her and kissing her on the forehead. They're thrilled. So then, I guess you're right. Then the Marshal then goes back to New Babylon, and then we see his superior. I don't know if they mentioned her by name, but another boss lady. And so it's asking questions. And he says, oh, yeah, I found him, had a fight, put him against the wall, shot him, and I came back. That's it. Good. And she's like, oh, wow, that's great. That's great. But it's a shame. It's a shame that they couldn't bring the body and, bring this person so we could parade it in front and do all stuff. Now, you had brought up a point, Carlos, like, well, there's no way she's going to be able to lug this body over from the harbor there. They remember on a rowboat and do that whole, come on now. That no, doesn't make sense. But then I was thinking,
not to mention he got shot in the leg.
Yeah, he got shot in the leg. But then I was thinking, maybe they're not even talking about Negan. And then that would be another swerve that makes no sense. But the reason why I think that is because she said, I want you now to start from the beginning with the truth and tell me about the fentanyl. Remember that whole thing? Well, what does Negan have to do with any of that? They doesn't have anything to do with that. She's talking about the Croat.
I don't remember that. I actually wasn't really sure what she was talking about. I think
she brought that up. Once she said that, I'm like, she's talking about, she wants to know the operation. But then I was like, so you're... But was that his goal, really? Like, she sent him there to do that, and he decided to go after Negan because of a personal vendetta from the wanted list. Maybe he was friends with one of those guys that got killed or something. Because
Well, maybe the whole thing, we did see that the people that the lady boss from the Croat and that group, what she's scared of is the Babylon police, the new Babylon police.
Oh yeah, she's scared of all the other groups coming over to take what they have because they're creating something special. But at the same time, they're dealing with all these other tribes, and they need somebody to wrangle them all up, so that way they can prepare themselves and make themselves stronger for when the people of New Babylon or any of the other bigger tribes that try, or other areas that try to come into Manhattan. She wants to take over that island. And so maybe she does know what's going on outside. Maybe she does know what's going on with this boss lady that the marshal's dealing with. I have a feeling that we're going to find out that the marshal was almost going rogue in a way, because it sounds like she sent this boss lady that he's dealing with, sent him to New York to find out about the gas and how that's being produced and that whole process. But yet he had his own motives of trying to find Negan because, he killed all these people. Well, then there's got to be a connection. He probably was friends with one of them and he wanted some retribution or something going on. But that is not why he was sent to New York. Because why bring that last line up then? She didn't say anything. They never even mentioned Negan's name.
So I also make a comment and say what you just said about, if he had a vendetta because, these people that Negan killed he was friends with some of them, that actually is a much better explanation than what we got. And that would have been a very good thing that they could have put in this for it to make more sense. But the only point that I was going to mention is, I think what the showrunner is trying to say is that both the Marshal and Negan are in situations where they are trapped, because now they are working for corrupt people that they have something against them. Because she did mention his daughters.
Yeah.
The fact that she checked up on the daughters. So that was the takeaway that I got. All the other stuff about whether it was the methane or whatever, I don't really know where they were going from with that angle. But clearly, I think the connection is, they are a threat because they can come after to try to get the resources that are on that are pretty much where Negan is at. So I guess that's what that's all about. But I don't know for sure.
I think they just planted that seed to show that, hey, there's a lot more story here that will bring him back to Manhattan. Because then his mission's done. Then if that's it, if he's saying, hey, I went and killed them, the bounty's done. That's it. There's no reason for the marshal. Now he can go back to being, Ocean over there and doing his music and like, I sing the songs.
Start releasing that new album.
He can start working on his new album.
But by the way, no offense, Carlos.
I
really don't care about this character. And when I made the comment earlier that they could have killed some people, this is another character that I wouldn't have mind if they just got rid of him, because it feels like his story was over. Now, this additional stuff here, now that they're making the connection because this group might be after what Negan has. Okay, that's fine. But other than that, I don't really think he's important to the show. And I think for a show that's supposed to be focused on Maggie and Negan, I really wanted to focus on those characters. I don't care about these other side characters. That's just my opinion. But we'll see what happens in season 2.
You bring up a good point. I mean, the only thing that I'll say is, at least some of us have to survive in this world.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? There's only one left.
You're right. Yeah.
But while you're bringing up side characters, this is it. I consider Maggie. Maggie's a side character that's not needed. She is not needed for this, because this is it. This is the last part now, and we see her in the car. And go ahead.
I just gotta interject. That's the thing that I hate the most about this show, and it's not too it's not as big of a deal because it's only reared its head in this episode and the first episode. it's just even in the Walking Dead proper, it's just Maggie and her kid. It just doesn't. I don't know. Like, I see what they're trying to do, but it just doesn't. It doesn't come out right. I just don't. I don't get it. He seems like an entitled little prick. Maggie is uptight. I don't know. It just it doesn't make the characters aren't likable. It's hard, man. I just had to say that.
No, it's not that hard because I didn't like it. I was tired of it from before. Like once they announced that this is a story, I was like, oh, it has to revolve around Herschel being. Oh gosh, not this again. I'm just over it. I'm over it, and clearly, Herschel's over it too because he doesn't want anything to do with his mom. She just saved him. They're in the car. And she's like, oh, are you hungry? He's like, I'm not hungry. This is what you care about. And she's like, she hands him a bag and he sees the hat. And that was the hat that Negan found. And she was like, what is this? I was like, oh, it's a gift for you. It's like, you get me a souvenir after being kidnapped. Like, what's wrong with you, lady? It's like, he's just so tired of everything. He's still acting like a little prick. And he's just not happy. But we also don't see any stress on this guy. Like, he's not freaking out like, oh, they just cut my toe off and I'm dealing with a lot right now. We don't hear any of that. And that upset me because
it looked like he just came from Cabo.
That got a little tan. Well, he was on set filming his show, so his movie. Yeah, and so there's that. There's a scene there, and while they're still in the car, they show the Statue of Liberty, and then they drive off. That makes no sense because Statue of Liberty is on Liberty Island. That's you need a boat to get off that island. So I guess they just wanted to figure out how they can put the Statue of Liberty in a shot. But I don't know. That's my own little peeve there that I had with that. It's not a big deal, but it threw me off. It took me out of the moment. So then they get back to their location, and then she goes and wants to have a heart-to-heart with him and to say, hey, I'm dealing with a lot. I lost a lot. And we get it. She lost her sister. Remember? She lost her brother, but we never saw that. He was already turned. Remember when they reached the farm?
First she lost her mom.
But not from this. The mom, wasn't she already sick?
It's still dramatic.
All right, still dramatic. all right, fine. So, but we don't.
But sensitive with these kinds of things.
But I think that happened when she was much younger. The way when she told
was talking about the Macy's thing.
Yeah, exactly. When she was younger, But remember, she's the older sister. She had the younger sister. So anyway, mom is gone. Right. Then we got the brother gone, the sister gone. Of course, her dad is gone. Husband's gone. So it makes sense with that, saying, hey, I'm used to the world taking things from me, and so I hold on tight, because Herschel's whole thing was like, you're holding on too tight. You don't seem to care about me. You see me as like property. You're always worried about this and so. I was like, there goes that entitled them, because at least someone cares about you. Do you not see all the hardship going out there? I'm sure there's a lot of people starving and doing all kinds of stuff, but you have it pretty good here in Brick City. Your mom is clearly the boss, so you don't have to worry about a lot of things. He's skipping his trainings. Remember, he wasn't doing any of his shooting training and stuff like that, so he doesn't seem to care. So it's sort of a Sebastian situation like the Commonwealth, just he's not running around with a bunch of girls. Go ahead, Rich.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. So I just want to say this: the only way I will care about this particular storyline going into season 2, I think Maggie does have to die. And I think that Herschel, the burden will now shift to Herschel to basically feel what his mom feels, because there's no way he's going to ever understand all she said about losing all these people. He didn't get to know Glenn, obviously, so he didn't know his father. He didn't get to know his grandfather, so he's never had a connection with any of these other characters. But he does have a connection with his mom, right? So if something does happen to Maggie in season 2, that definitely would change Herschel. Maybe she is a casualty of trying to save Negan, and it may not be Negan that gets her killed, but that somebody who Negan is attacking or whatever, they take her out. So, but I want to see what they do with that. But that is the only way that storyline I think would make sense. Otherwise, I don't want to see the same storyline we saw this season with these two going back and forth.
Mm-hmm. You're right. And I think it's going to come down to that, because what did she tell Herschel? She's like, I have to, you're right, I have to let go. I got to get over this. So that means I have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And pretty much means she needs to go back to Negan, and I'm taking it. She needs to kill him. She needs to kill him to get that closure. It's not to help him, because she handed him over. Yeah, that's what I got. I don't think she wants to be his friend. I don't think she wants to be his friend, because he even said there's a pain in you that'll never go away. She needs that closure, and helping him out to be friends is not going to be the answer for that. I think she wants to kill him. So she is going to go back to kill him. I don't think she wants to go back to help him. She wants to put closure. And as it's maybe wrong, but I'm over that. I'm over the whole story and her vendetta and saying she can't let go. She has these issues with Negan. It's like, it's done. It's done. No more.
Not only does she have those issues, but her kid is in a cult now.
Yeah.
He's fully indoctrinated into whatever the hell they're selling.
Yeah. That's it. He was captive too long. And now he's all cool with it, because he was
captive too long, either 5 days or 5 years.
It was 5 hours, and that was enough. He got more attention from the new boss lady than he did from his mom.
That had a good introductory DVD on.
Exactly.
They showed him.
But because he, even at that moment, he doesn't mention, oh, by the way, they cut my toe off. No, he doesn't. He doesn't even seem like he's in pain. He's just sitting at his desk. It's weird. It's very weird, because when we did get that scene, when we see the toe in the box and that evil boss lady talking about how he opened up to her and this whole big thing. It's well, man, you got through to this kid more than his own mom. Because she can't get him to say anything, and he's all bitter. But look at this. You took his toe off, and he's cool as a cucumber right now. He's not stressing about it. He's like, whatever, 9 toes is fine. I'm not going to tell my mom. This is my own little secret. And like you said, he's a sleeper agent. This is turned into Homeland season 1. If anybody ever seen that one, I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm over that. I'm over this. I don't need it. Then they did that, like you said, the split screen, the two-face situation where you see Negan and Maggie and they mesh the face together to make one face. And that was upsetting, because I don't need to see that. I don't need Maggie in this show. She's not needed. That's it. That's the bottom line. If anybody got any other views, go ahead, leave it in the comments. But I don't see it. She's not needed in this. I'm sure fans of Negan, or even Walking Dead proper, when they saw that fight between them, were hoping they would put an end to this and just be like, yeah, just kill her off and let's just continue on. Because think about it, we already said all these possibilities for Negan, and with the Croat and fighting and with the gangs and all this. That sounds fine. Where does Maggie come in? Where does that? Why? Because she has this stuff that she can't get over. Even though he saved Herschel already twice, he gave up himself for Herschel. Remember right there when she had the knife? He was like, "Yeah, they put the knife down. Don't worry, I'll hand myself over. Take your boy. We're done. I'm done with this." He was accepting death, and she still can't let that go. And some people may be like, "Oh, have you seen it wrong? She's going to go and help him for what? How is that helping her? Wait, her conscience? She feels guilty now for what she did."
Well, she did see that Herschel had the drawing of the woman, so now she knows she needs to go after that woman. So I think she would. Yeah, I think she is going to try to help Negan by trying to kill this other woman. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, see, but that's the thing. She doesn't know who that woman is.
Yeah.
She knows the Croat. She hasn't seen the woman. It's not like, oh yeah, she was in the background. She's the evil. He could have said, oh, that's a girl I met who was also captive with me. I just started drawing pictures of her.
That's the girl I met on Tinder. She's the love of my life.
Exactly. Yeah, she's a little older, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. Age is just a number, especially now in the apocalypse. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, so we see the picture and we also realize like, wow, he's a pretty good artist, right? He's got some skills over here. Herschel, that is. But that was it. And ta-da, boom, boom, boom. It's over. So what's the takeaway for this? Negan story, good. A lot of great possibilities for season 2 with the warring tribes and the power struggle. We could definitely see Negan of old come back. They need to go to Modell's if they can find one. I think they're all gone now, but they need to go to the sporting goods store and get them another bat. Name it something else. Can't go with Lucille 2 or whatever. It's too late. They got to pick something else. Call it Glenn, right? That would be brutal, but let's go with it. The Glenn Basher 4000 or something. I don't know. But yeah, and let him go to town and see more of that, because it looks like the walkers, the zombie aspect is gone from this series. They're there for fuel, for the gas stuff, but they're not the threat. It's not like, oh, we can't go here. There's all these walkers. Not a big deal. It looks like that's not the issue. It's the tribes. It's real people that are the issue. And that was something that we saw in Walking Dead proper for a little while, right? It was all the warring tribes, the groups, the kingdom, and all that stuff going on. But they really want to focus more on that, and that's fine. And that's okay. You could sprinkle in walkers here and there and just have the walker kill of the week type of thing, but it doesn't have to be a big part of it. They're not running from them. They're not scared that they're going to go in and break down the door of the theater over there, right? And just kill them all. That's not a threat. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. The Maggie stuff, I think that's going to be the downfall. I'm curious to see and hear people's reactions. Maybe I'm looking too far into it. Maybe I'm in a bubble. Maybe there's a whole group of people that love Maggie and wish Negan wasn't part of the show. I don't know these people, but I'm sure there's some out there. And the Marshal, that could just go right off a cliff. Go right off a cliff. I don't care at all. Like you, Rich, I don't care about the character. I don't care about the story. I don't care that this new boss lady knows about his daughters. I don't care. It's not needed. But they have to introduce some fresh meat, right? We can't just have Megan and Maggie. You got to have somebody else to help them out. And I think that's why they're splicing him in there. He's the new helper. And we'll have to see. But that's my thoughts. What about you, Rich? What do you got for what you think this show is going to produce for season 2?
All right. Well, for season 2, I do hope they focus more on the gangs, as both you and Carlos said, because that will be very interesting. Maybe we will see other parts of New York we did not get to see this season. I'll be curious to know if it's going to be 6 episodes or if they're going to extend this out further, because they didn't confirm any of that. They just said
full season, right? Yeah, that would be good if we know if it was a full season.
Yeah, I think they need that if they have a story to tell in that for an extended period of time. But I think as far as the spinoff, I think that the show was decent. I know Carlos is going to be very angry to hear this. I probably would give this show, in my personal rating, between a 6.5 and a 7 for the entire season. It is significantly better than Fear the Walking Dead. That show is complete garbage now. I'm sorry, though. I have to say that.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't always that way, people. It wasn't always that way, but it definitely went downhill.
Yeah, the final season has been pretty bad, but no, this show is definitely one of the better Walking Dead shows that we've seen in a while. So I'm very curious to see what happens with the next 2 spinoffs. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a decent spinoff, and let's see what happens in season 2.
Mm-hmm. Carlos,
it's we're coming from Fear the Walking Dead, which did a lot of wonders for this show. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the positive reviews are because it's like, oh, this is a lot better than Fear the Walking Dead. And
the bar isn't that high. Yeah, so
the bar isn't high. So people are just excited to get something that's not that bad. But Dead City overall, I'm leaning more towards Rich, even though he doesn't think that I do. Uh, I think this is like a 6.5 type show for me. There's so many things that they can improve on. I kind of, the beginning of the show, I was really excited. The set design was really, really good.
Mhm.
I was like, that was really impressive, and I just felt like it kind of went downhill after that. Um, there's so many New York. When you choose to use New York as a backdrop to your show, there's just so much you can do, and I was kind of disappointed that they didn't attempt to do better with sort of the canvas that they're trying to paint on. Um, so yeah, it was a little bit disappointing. Episode 1 was a standout in terms of that. The whole Maggie Negan dynamic, we were kind of done with it at the end of the Walking Dead proper, and it didn't do it itself any favors in this show. So that was still a negative. Um, you know, there's still some positives. I mean, I felt like a lot of stuff with Negan was pretty positive. Um, and I can't really say that it's a bad show by any means. So, and I can't say it's exceptional either. It's just kind of middle of the road for me.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, if you and we all need love these people that have once Walking Dead ended, that was it, and they didn't watch Fear or Tales or World Beyond. They didn't go the route of the spinoffs. They're gonna ask questions, and they're gonna ask him, say, "Hey, is this any good? It's coming back. I heard it another season. Should I be watching this?" So that's it. What's the answer? For me, the answer is yes. It's fun. It's worth watching. It'll get you mad. It'll get you happy. You'll see some gruesome stuff, some gruesome deaths, with Negan, especially that cutthroat scene and the guts, all that stuff. It's a lot. It's a new location. They're no longer running around in the woods. You got the city backdrop. Yes, they didn't use a lot of the locations, but it's still early. Now that we got approved, then they can open up the wall a little bit and get rights to some of the other landmarks. Even if it's just as a splash screen, they still have to pay for those rights to use. So it'll be cool. There's plenty of things they can do to make it interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I put that in the same boat like you guys, a 7. Some episodes a little better than others, but it's definitely on the right track. I hope they listen to the audience. I know a lot of other people have had some issues with just the story. The people that do like Maggie, but they wanted the buddy system. They wanted these guys to work together. They didn't want this constant conflict because it's been burnt out. We've heard it all. We've seen it all. We can't keep going down this road.
Even the kid is tired of it.
Yeah, the kid even said he's like, you always talk about Negan, and that's why I'm taking the whole impression that she has to finish this, and finishes me. She has to know he's dead, because as long as she knows he's alive, it's still gonna irk her that the man who killed her husband is still out there. But who knows? Maybe next season, this is when they become that buddy system. They're the buddy cops, because after the fight, Negan brought that up. He's like, we could have been great together. Hell, we were great together. That whole thing. It's like, really? I didn't see that. I didn't see that, but I'm glad you did. But clearly, you're saying this line because you're planting that seed. I don't see that. And then, of course, with the split face and all that, it's like, yeah, what's going to happen? But I don't care what happens with them. I don't want to see it. But
Adam, you don't care what happens with them, but I have a prediction. Is this the prediction section?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a prediction that so who's the leader? Who's trying to be the leader of whoever is the name of the group that Croat's with?
There is no the Negan is going to be the boss lady. Negan is going to be the leader. That's what they want him for. They're hiring to be the general for this army that they're creating.
Who is the leader of the Hilltop? Or who's been the leader of the Hilltop and other communities?
Well, it would be Maggie.
Maggie was a leader, and I have a feeling that the kid is going to egg her on to take care of Negan and get it over with. But in reality, what the kid wants is what the cult has been indoctrinating him with. It's like, get Maggie and Negan to fight it out, and whoever wins is going to be the leader of this group. And I have a feeling like that's going to be season 2. I don't know why. I just have a feeling.
I think it'd be easier if they just brainwashed him to just kill his mom, and then he can control Brick City and then work alongside the group that's in New York, and that's it. Because she let him go back. She didn't have to. And I remember he said he liked it there. He said things were great there. He whatever. He wasn't stressed out at all.
Yeah,
so
things were great, even though he don't have his toe anymore.
And he was still cool. He was still cool. So there's more to that story.
I'm not gonna make it to the NBA.
Exactly. But I think that's why he was released. I think she has a plan for him, but then on the flip side, that's not how she describes the situation to Negan, using it as leverage. It's like, hey, I could always go back for more pieces, if you don't fall through with this, and if you don't, then if you do, everything worked out for everybody.
I think the important thing to remember going into season 2, there was a title of one of these episodes: "People Are a Resource." Okay, that's an important title because I'm pretty sure people are going to get used in next season. Yeah. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. And that's it for this, people. That is our discussion for the last episode of Dead City Season 1. No date for Season 2. And with the strike and all this stuff going on, who knows? But we do know it's been approved. So that's a plus, right? And that's it. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. Thanks again for all the support over on Spotify and iTunes and YouTube, for the follows and the subs, and just going through the back catalog. I guess people watching episodes and going, oh man, what the hell's going on in this one? And just trying to see if we discussed it. And we probably did. We've been doing this for a while. So thanks again for all of that. And we will be back for the next show, which will be the Norman Reedus, which will be the Daryl Dixon, Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. I hate that title. I hate it. Oh, man, I hate it. I'm glad they got rid of the Rick and Michonne show and they gave it a name. Why couldn't they do the same for this? It just makes no sense. It's just dumb. Unless, again, like I said, Gulliver's Travel, this is completely different. It is completely separate. It's like, this is a far-off land. Treat it that way. Everything that happens here stays here, because if we ever bring him back to the mainland, none of this is carrying over. It's going to be like a dream. That's my theory on it, but we'll see. That's coming in a few weeks, right? The first episode,
September 10th.
Yeah, September 10th. Oh shit! See, I'm jumping the gun. I'm like, we're in August. No, we're not in August. We're still in July. So yeah, we got 2 months. Oh man, my days are all mixed up. All right, everybody. Thanks again for the support. Thanks for everything. And if you got any questions or any ideas or anything you want to share with us, go ahead over on YouTube. Just leave a comment. All right, everybody. Peace.
Peace.